right, welcome to a free solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim,
The Tax Avenger,
the
I'm
tax
leaning towards.
avenger
Yeah,
O'Connor.
I ran into all sorts of tax obligations that I'm really upset about. So
Yeah,
the Tax Avenger, it shall be henceforth.
yeah, why not? And if you are the company that keeps putting copyright notices on the song at the beginning of this, screw you. I hate you guys.
Yeah, knock
And
it
I,
off, man.
I know
They're not.
someone keeps putting
It's
that.
it's a lie. It's a
It
total
is a
lie.
lie. They don't own that song. They do all you see their whole page. And all the comments are, "Yo, why are you putting copyright notices on my StreamYard video?"
Yeah, they're
What the
totally
heck, man?
gaslighting. I mean, it's
And get this
nonsense.
stupid little tag. If they put the tag on the video again, go and complain about their page. Sorry, that's
Yeah,
my PSA. I'm mad. We got a couple of them now, and I'm mad at at those guys for doing that.
this Starlink or something. I don't know. It's like they're ripping off like Elon Musk or
I
somebody
know,
who's.
right? Just ripping
Yeah,
off everyone left to right. Anyway, enough on those jerks.
yeah.
We got a few things going on today. Of course,
We
this
got
is
some.
our fake news Friday show,
It is Fake News Friday. But
and
I think we're gonna hurt some feelings tonight, Kevin, because we're going
oh
full
no,
libertarian on them, on the world. We're gonna make some people mad.
hey, it happens. Listen, sometimes it's what you got to do to make people think.
Yeah,
It's what has
yeah,
to
I
happen.
agree. I got some cool stuff though. I want to talk about the broken windows fallacy, how it relates to cash for clunkers. Because back in the day, that cash for clunkers thing drove me nuts, Kevin.
I
I'm
know
gonna save my passion for the show, but
that's right. So
I
we'll
want
talk
people
about
to
that.
know.
We'll talk about maybe stuff going on with the New York City TSA that they're gonna
Ooh,
have to make, and maybe we'll
that
do
is
that.
gonna be exciting for a
Yeah,
business that's already losing billions of dollars a year, to the tune of $6 billion a year. Let's make it harder to get into. Let's do that.
yeah. So whole bunch of that stuff, but of course, folks, like y'all listening right now, this is a live show. We're pre-recording it for the radio, but if you're listening to the live version online, you can leave your comments, participate in the show, join us in discussion. So if you have some cool, interesting stuff to say, pop those right in the comments, and then if we can get to it, we'll put it up on the show and read it on air too. So all right, what do you say, Tim? We'll go in at at 3:30.
Sounds good to me, buddy. Let's do it.
13:30. 10 minutes. I'm gonna remember the time this time.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got it. 10, 9, 8. Welcome to a free solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim, the tax avenger, O'Connor.
Yeah, I am at the IRS, bud. I
Yeah.
can't stand those guys.
No, I know. You're not a fan? Yeah,
I
you
am
don't.
not a fan.
Tim, taxes are the prices we pay for a civilized society.
We were civilized before taxes. Knock it off. Like 1913, that's when they started this income tax fiasco.
That's obviously when civilization started.
Did,
Before that, you know what they didn't have? Roads.
yeah,
They didn't exist. They were invented after.
the beginning of civilization led to the First World War, Kevin. I mean,
That's
that's an interesting position we're taking there. I don't know.
no, I can't imagine how that happened. No, folks, if you haven't listened to our show on Wednesday, it was me, Craig, and Dwayne talking taxes too. That was a fun one, interesting one. So make sure you check that out. He's talking about his tax defense stuff that he wants to do. Because he's like, you just got to kind of wade into it, right? You wade
Yeah.
into sometimes you got to do what you can, fight the system where you can. It's not just shaking your fists in the air and yelling taxation is theft. You got to get in there and mix it up.
I think Dwayne, sometimes he's breathing pure fire, right? Like when he's
Yeah.
talking about, he's willing to take a stand against the state. He's willing to be proactively libertarian. He's willing to be your tax defense accountant. I thought that was a pretty awesome concept that he was working with there.
Yeah, no. So I'm curious to see where he goes with that. And, I appreciate, again, jumping in. And it's as much when we talk about the politics stuff, like the getting elected stuff. Sometimes it's like doing what you can to help people where you can. And I can respect that.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Keith, who calls into this show regularly, and I'd love to have a conversation with him down the road. He called in today and talked to Craig on my normal show, and one of his points he made that I thought was excellent is that we lack a certain distinct awareness when it comes to voting. We vote for red team, we vote for blue team, and I thought that that was a really interesting point. So tonight, I am for this first segment, or maybe a little bit of the second segment, I'm going to try to bore people with some educational stuff.
Never boring, Tim. Never
I don't
boring.
know
No,
about
we're gonna
that.
we're gonna keep, this is Fake News Friday. We're gonna keep it entertaining.
We
You know how
will.
we do it.
So one of the things that has driven me crazy in the past, right, is that the bailout of the auto industry where they took government money and they paid people to go buy brand new cars because the car manufacturers had overproduced unpopular models of cars and they were like all going to go bankrupt except for Ford, which took no money from the government during that fiasco. And we get into this scientific, or not, an economic theory called the broken windows fallacy, where if we break something, it stimulates the economy. And I think that they
Yeah.
took those cash for clunkers. Kevin, do you know what they did with them? I mean, that was when we talked about this on the show. We weren't
Yeah, you
really
said
clear.
yeah, you said they threw him into the ocean, right?
They did. They threw them into the ocean to rebuild coral reefs, allegedly, and they blew up the motors before they did it. Like there was they would pour a solution in, they'd peg the rev limiter, they'd turn that sucker on and it would blow up. Then they would dump it in the ocean.
That's
So
fascinating.
it
And
is
well, let me yeah, no, I mean
it
it's terrible, but it's interesting that like that's what they decided to do. Like we're gonna dump a bunch of cars in the ocean to help the environment. Yes.
to
You
help
know,
the environment and to help big car. I'm going to tell you this, guys. You've heard me say this before, but it's stuff like this is the reason why we don't have flying cars. The
that's
government,
it. It's
they prop up big business all the time, and so they broke a bunch of windows and they threw them into the ocean, and we lost that wealth. Guys, I'm a guy that buys, like John. We buy old vehicles, but John that called in, the McDonald's fan. We buy older vehicles, we fix them up, we keep them running. They look good. It's fun and it's healthy activity for us. Plus, I've never bought a new car my entire life. I'm 55 years old. I don't think I ever will because it's such an economic it's an economic nightmare to buy a new car. The second you buy it, you pay $60,000 for a truck, you drive it off the lot. The most you're getting is $45,000. So, according to Charles Givens, Wealth Without Risk, you don't ever buy a brand new car. And that's one of the reasons why you're giving away like
oh no,
25% of your money.
that's probably right. I the first car I bought on my own, I bought new, but I bought used since just because I the same thing. I was like, I'm cheap now. I don't want to spend the money.
You got a family,
But
bud.
yeah, and I just didn't know, any better the first time. But you threw out a bunch of concepts. So I want to back up for
Yeah,
a second, talk about like, well, we'll talk about the broken windows thing, and
let's
then let's
do
talk
it.
about like the nature of the bailouts and what that is. But like the broken windows thing, right? So like the economic idea behind this, it's like a kind of a Keynesian type idea, is that you're stimulating the economy if not if you're breaking a window, but you break a window, well, then someone has to go out and spend money to repair that, and that churn in the economy, the spend in the economy, that is good. That adds to like the flow of cash through communities, and that in and of itself is a good thing. But kind of to your point, right? Like what's the problem with that? Well, the world is uh a little bit less rich. There's a little bit less wealth in the world because we're out one window, and it got
Right.
replaced by one window, and that cash of whoever had to replace that window now can't be used on other things, can't be used for food, for other goods, for expansion, whatever it is. We are not better off if we're replacing something that is destroyed. And with the cash for clunkers program, like there's a bunch of different ideas behind it. Part of it was stimulative, part of it was like environmental, right? Like, well, we'll get all these old fuel inefficient car, allegedly, right? We're gonna get these old fuel
Allegedly.
efficient cars off the road and get these new ones in. And the problem with that is that again, we're now out all of these cars, which if they're working, they're fine, but and the environmental impact of doing that is significant, right? Because now, okay, now we're putting all the, if you're trying to reduce the amount of carbon out there, you're now putting more energy into making more cars, and those things that already had that carbon investment in it, well, they're just scrapped now. They're out in the ocean.
Yeah, and
It's gone.
let me hit that point too, because many studies, okay, many studies. I know that's a great way of saying I don't have it right in front of me,
Tim
which is
Googled
true.
this once.
I Googled this once. But look, if you're taking an old car, and running it forever, your carbon footprint is drastically lower than the person that is buying new cars every 4 years. I think that's probably common sense, but it
Yeah.
has to be on some level real. So having old cars around and not throwing them into the ocean is wealth for people. It would junkyards are like, I don't know, they're one of my favorite places because you can go see cool old history and things like that. So when we're dealing with throwing cars into the ocean and the government paying for those cars, and then let's not forget that all part of breaking those windows into kicking all the common stockholders' rights right to the curb. I mean, it was such a bad deal.
Yeah.
It was
Because
awful.
there's a couple parts of that. One's like the kind of direct bailout, like the government, like it was kind of structured as a sort of loan type of thing,
Right,
but
sort
a
of
bunch of money
loan.
going toward them, and then this other thing, right, which wasn't directly pitched to the American people as we're going to use this also to help automakers. It was the environmental pitch, right? And like, hey,
Right.
like we're gonna give you some money for your car, and you're gonna get a new one, and it's gonna be better for the environment. Isn't that everyone feels good about this?
Yeah, and then they all say, "Look how good it was for the economy." And
Yep.
that argument bugs me, not just about the cash for clunkers, but how many other times it gets used. Like, there are people that have literally said, and maybe I was one of them back when I was a neocon, right? That war stimulates the economy, the ultimate breaking of windows, okay? It creates a demand, it creates overtime work, it's but
Was that
once
myth of like World War II got us out of the depression? No, it didn't. There's like a bunch of stuff that like happened to do that, but like taking stuff and shipping it overseas and getting it blown up does not help the economy. It just destroys things. And even if it's necessary, we're not richer for that.
and we're talking about short-term growth and the growth through force and the growth through government action that the broken windows fallacy, everybody that buys in that uses it is like a big government, like neocon psychopath, really. And they all
Tell us how
use
you
it.
really feel.
Yeah, no, they I know, right? Boy, there was a word on the tip of my tongue that I didn't I held
Good
back.
job.
I
No,
held
and on that note, like, just before you fly off the rails here, we're gonna head to a break just to give Tim some time to cool down. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're gonna be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. All right.
Yeah,
And for
I'm not gonna say
segments.
the word, but it almost slipped out. It's bad. There
Oh
ain't no
no.
law when you're sipping on the claw.
Oh, see, that's the dangerous part of doing that during the show, Tim. All right. So I don't know, man. Maybe that too. The lack of stuff in junkyards too, because that's what I used to do with my because I used to
Yeah.
have a like an old Chevy that I would go to a junkyard. There's a you pull it place, and that was a great spot for going looking for parts for that thing because it you could actually fix that. Like my Prius, I can't do squat with my Prius. Like I
No.
can't touch that.
It was a prop for big business in so many ways, and it also benefited China because China has access to production and machining capabilities that we don't have. Our machinists in our country make a lot more money than what they do in China. Therefore, you can buy a rotor from China, machined in China, milled in China, sent here for way less, substantially less than it would cost to produce and make it here. And so, getting rid of all those used parts, was a prop for all of those rich. We have socialism, guys, in our country. It's for the rich, wealthy, big, huge businesses, and that's a reality. You can be mad about it, but it's real.
That's how it goes. I'm
There's
just
socialized risk for the wealthy.
yeah, socialize risk, privatize the uh
Profits,
the profits,
which works pretty well
and
for them. Do I
yeah,
sound like a communist tonight? I'm sorry, guys, if I do, but I'm
not
not.
at all, comrade.
I saw a lot of opportunity in the collapse of the big three automakers, and I'm like, this is going to be great. And then they took every single thing I saw as opportunity and smashed it into smithereens and threw it into the ocean. It was ridiculous.
All right, let's go back at 16, but we'll talk about where else we're gonna go
Right.
with this topic.
We will, and it just was an educational thing for Keith because Keith was like, he's right. Like he is right. We people don't listen enough. Well, thank you, Facebook user.
Yeah. All right, back in 5. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Tax Avenger O'Connor. And thanks again, everyone who's joining us, whether you're on WYSL, WACK out in Newark, or our friends listening online, wherever you listen today. Appreciate y'all being here. And we got a Facebook user chiming in. Tim is on fire. Folks listening on the radio, he's not literally on fire. He means that Tim is passionate and on a roll tonight.
And I did censor myself, which self-censorship is okay, but I am a free speech absolutist. I want to be clear about that. So, Kevin, like when we get into these things and we hear people talk about the destruction of wealth is stimulating the economy, it drives me crazy. And guess what? Like I don't even want to mention the guy's name, but just so you know, there's a guy running for near state governor. I believe he's going to be in the Republican primary, and I believe he's going to be collecting signatures, which I don't want you to sign, for the independent nomination for the Unite Upstate New York Party. This guy worked for Obama. He's purportedly a Republican, and guess what? He played a major role in the auto bailout structuring for the Obama administration. I'm not saying his name. You can if you want to, but I'm not.
Oh,
That
yeah.
guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, so we'll say his name so people know what I'm talking about. So Harry Wilson, he's run as a Republican. He's trying to get the Unite Party's line too, which is I mean, they're supposed to be focused on like growing jobs in upstate New York, that type of thing. And yeah, but like because I feel like we should call out by name, and I I would have this guy on the show too. Like we'll talk about it. Like I ask about this. Like, well, why is this? Tim, like, what you guys censor me? I'll talk to whoever I want, Tim.
I will be making comments, and I might even call in, Kevin.
No, you go ahead. Yeah, like any candidate running for governor, like I'm happy to talk about it. I don't have to be nice to you, but like you're happy to come on the show and make your points, and I'd be fair. We've had a bunch of candidates on before, and
I had Derek Gibson on, and he was a great guest, man. He was really polite. He has a lot of good ideas. He kind of terrified me when he said he wanted to bring in the National Guard into New York City, but New York City's kind of a mess. I mean, so I get it, and he lives in that area, so I get it. But it was a scary concept for me. How about
listen? Any candidate who wants who wants to talk, send us an email, contact at freesolution.com. We'll chat. We'll see if it makes sense to have you on the show. I'll say I'm going to push back on your ideas. If you have ideas that are antithetical to liberty, I'm going to push back. But you want to talk? All right, cool. Let's have a conversation. But anyway, but he was involved in the Obama administration. I guess he was involved in the Cash for Clunkers program. That's
had to be right. So look, the guy's strategy for making jobs is breaking windows. Okay, so like we just explained the broken window fallacy. That strategy costs us wealth overall. Sure, it doesn't promote fast, forceful, government-inspired growth. Okay, but we still lose wealth in the process. All right, like blowing up a bomb, smashing out a window. Great, somebody benefits, but the whole world is a little bit less wealthy, and so is the person that gets hurt. Like my dreams of buying up used cars and reselling them, just trashed, just trashed. Thanks a lot, Obama.
I mean, there's still lots of opportunity. There's still a big market. Although the used car market has cooled. It's one there's 35% inflation on the used car market like year over year, although it only increased by like 1 or 2% in March.
Thanks, Obama. Again, it goes to this Cash for Clunkers deal. And
it's still going back to him. It's still Obama's.
It does, man. He was awful. I mean, on some things. He was a very polite guy, so I'll give him that. And he was not very polite, but reasonably polite.
Yeah,
But look,
well, I see. Here's my thing on the politeness, right? Like, oh, he's polite. He's very presidential, like wonderful, cool. He was drone bombing weddings though, so like, I don't care how polite he is.
that's a
Like,
good point.
yeah, you're still a monster if you can like, put on airs and like do all the proper things. Like, I don't care if you're a monster on on
Yeah,
foreign
that's a
policy. I'm
very
not
good
I'm not gonna be
point.
nice about it.
That is an excellent point. He did some other things.
Listen, like I never cared like that Trump was like rude. I cared about a lot of his policy stuff that I didn't like, but like his being crass and like unpresidential, like whatever, like it doesn't like matter that much to me.
It was
Um,
entertaining. It made me laugh. I
yeah,
laughed. I laughed with him. I laughed at him. It was
it's
great.
a policy thing. Again, if he actually did like the libertarian things I wanted him to do, I would have been like, all right, cool, yeah, like whatever, you can be a jerk, but
Yeah, when guys were like the biggest disappointment for Trump for me, and look, I liked him and I laughed with him and at him. I'm not kidding. But the biggest disappointment was when he had the government shut down and he completely capitulated. And the next year, he didn't even try to shut the government down again. He just signed off on all the spending. That's modern monetary theory. That's a form of breaking windows and government using force to stimulate the economy, whether you like it or not. And it is contributing to the inflation that we're seeing today. Okay. So you
sure
can like
is.
Trump, but we need to accept certain realities.
It's part of the
And
problem. Republicans, Democrat, like getting it, break yourself out of the mindset that just switching parties in the White House is gonna fix these things, right? It's got to
oh,
be there's got to
it's not.
be a more fundamental cultural shift in both parties before we do that, or like a breakthrough from a third party, one or the other.
Well, and look, I think when we take a look at libertarians and they're saying, let's clamp down on the government having a monopoly on force and violence and growing their tax revenues. Let's talk about that and how people who don't love the power that they associate with the state th- that and isn't that the problem? Like the Democrats and the Republicans, they feel like they win. They're dunking on the other team that's been insulting them for the last 4 years. If we can fix that, if we can find more people that say, hey, state power is the problem and winning that power isn't really a win, voting for the lesser of two evils, evil knows that evil wins. That's the reality. What do you think, Kevin? I feel like I'm losing my mind tonight. People are saying I'm on fire. I am on fire.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, you're right. That's kind of what it is. It's I don't know. That's one of those. It's one of those big problems. I don't know what the solution. This is a free solution. I don't know what that one. Full solution to that is. Like it's gonna have to be one of those. How do you eat an elephant like one bite at a time type of deals. It's like we just slowly like chip away at some of that stuff. But anywho, yeah, I just kind of going back to like the original topic at hand, right? Like talking about that candidate for governor, independent party doing that type of stuff. I get it, and it's going to be listen for all independent parties. It's going to be a huge uphill battle just to get on the ballot. Larry's trying to get on the ballot right now on the LP line, and it's a lot of signatures, and so their party's going out and they're helping this guy get it. It's going to be tough. We'll see where it goes. I think they could have picked a better candidate, but I'm maybe a little bit biased.
They
Um,
had flirted with Larry, right?
yeah,
And that's because Larry was popular and Larry had been successful. Now what they want to do, because they know that upstate New York is heavily Republican in nature. But what they really are is anti-authoritarian. It's going to take some time to convince them of that. Um,
yeah,
so they flirted with Larry for a while, and while I didn't bring up this stuff about Harry just to point out that fact, I do think that the he's a big government statist window breaker job creator. Okay, that's what he does, and so to grant him any kind of special privileges or special recognition for being exactly what we already have in office is a problem. Okay,
yeah.
like it's a
No, so
problem for me.
like I'm frustrated. Like given the values I saw about that party and like the direction they went, it's a little bit of a bummer for me. But Yeah, and that's it's one of those things like these independent parties, the Libertarian Party's done it too. It's like you want someone with like that record, that credibility that people be able to say, oh, like they have governing experience, they have experience at like a high level, and that means that it's going to give them more legitimacy and more likely to draw voters in and vote for them. That was kind of like Gary Johnson's gamble with Bill Weld, right?
Yeah, I
Like
was gonna go there. Yes.
that's where it is. And like,
Yeah.
Gary Johnson, like he's his own guy. And like he had ran in 2012, 2016. Like that's why he brought on Bill Weld. Like it's not really a secret at this point. And
Yeah.
like,
And
eh,
money. And money.
yeah,
You know.
and he had the connections, right? Like
Right.
that's what it was. And so they were hoping like that him being a former governor, him having a lot of connections in a whole bunch of different states, that would bring enough legitimacy to push them over the top in enough areas and make a big impact in what should have been a really good election for third parties and really just like wasn't
Did you
as
see?
good as as the
It was.
Libertarian Party had hoped.
It would look. No offense, man, but it was. And guys, I might hurt some people's feelings, but it was pretty much a failure this last go around. And even Bill Weld, did you see how he thanked the Libertarian Party for running him as vice president?
What's that?
Oh,
Oh, the him switching parties again and
he switched parties again, and he bragged about how he voted for Biden. Like he bragged about it. Like there was
yeah.
he didn't vote for Joe,
That's
and Joe was a good candidate, man. She was fair, she was reasonable. She just
yeah.
tried to take advantage of social media too much. Whatever. That's I guess
Yeah.
the nature
Yeah,
of the
I know
beast
that.
in
All
life.
I say it was tough. Would have been nice to do better, but to see third parties generally do better, but especially libertarians. But that's how it goes. Um
How are
and
we
yeah,
doing on
so
time?
well we got about a minute left
Oh,
in this segment.
we don't want to start our next subject, guys. You should stay around after this break and listen to our next subject
Well,
break our
give them a preview. Why should they stick around, Tim?
because we're going to be talking about Ron DeSantis, and I know a lot of you guys really like him. We got some things we want to say.
Oh, all right. Yeah, yeah. We'll talk about the Ron DeSantis stuff. We're gonna talk about well, he's doing he's doing a bunch of different stuff lately.
He's
He's just trying to be in the
he,
political spotlight.
he-
I wonder why. I
he's
wonder what
running
it
for
is.
president. Yeah, he's running for president, man. He really is.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we can probably expect something like that coming out of Florida eventually. But we're gonna talk about some of the policy moves. Florida's given us a bunch of stuff to talk about,
Florida
about
man,
lately.
always.
Gosh darn it, Florida. All right. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're heading off to a break for just a second. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. And yeah, right,
All right.
good enough.
Yeah,
But
look, Ron DeSantis has done some stuff I really liked. Like, I'll be honest with you, but then again, he's very authoritarian.
yeah, that's it. We'll chat about it over the break. And this person asking if I'm drinking a local brew. I'm not. I was earlier. I'm drinking a Carlsberg now, but I was drinking a beer called Hammer Time IPA that's made by Sager Brewing here in Rochester. And I'm going to be developing. So it's a beer that is benefiting a local tool library that I've been helping out with. So pretty cool thing for anyone listening in the Rochester area. It's $25 to become a member for a year, and you can get tool rentals. You just borrow any tools that you want.
What could
And
possibly go wrong?
hey,
I
no, think about it, right? You're a homeowner.
love it. I love the
You don't
idea.
have the ability to invest in like, a power tool. Maybe, you're young or you just don't have a lot of money. Okay, great. Like this is a good thing. You do that, rent it for a few days because you're only get some people, they only use the tools a few times. They're not like,
Well, table saws take up a lot of room too, like in
yeah,
your
right.
house. So you could renting a table saw. Honestly, even as a contractor, for the number of times I've used it, and I have a great table saw. It's got a great stand. I can wheel it into somebody's house, and I can set up a table saw, and it's real. Okay, but
Yeah.
I probably would have the number of times I've used it productively on a job. I probably could have rented one and still had that money in my pocket.
Yeah. And so it's basically like automotive tools. They're still accepting tool donations. So there is going to be automotive tools in there. The selection of those isn't huge yet, but they're trying to build that up.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's a tool library. It's a totally community run thing. And listen, they have not just a $25 a year membership, because that gives you like 5 tools at a time. You can also get like contractor memberships that let you take out a bunch more if you need it to. So it's people who like want to get involved in the trades but don't, and they need their own set of tools to like work. You can do like longer term rentals or get the contractor thing and like keep checking them out and stuff. So it's a nice thing. And if you want to learn more about it, it's seektoolshed.org, and I'll post a link to that. I'm probably going to be doing a PSA for them soon. That's why I'm talking about it so much. I'm on the board of the organization that's doing that. So it's just something I'm passionate about.
You're on
Something
a
that's cool.
board of an organization?
Oh yeah,
Get out of here, man.
I was a chair for a
Who
while.
is it because you're related to Woodrow Wilson? Like, you have
It's just the
those
power
connections?
connections. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
All right. Cool. I got to grab another seltzer water. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, so seektoolshed.org. So Rochester area, I mean, it's open to anyone if you're able to drive out to it. Like go for it, head on in. And then the beer that I was drinking earlier, it's a Hammer Time IPA by Sager. You can order them online. It's like $20 for, I think it's a 4-pack, but most of the money goes to the Tool Shed project.
That's so awesome. That's a great, great concept. I was even thinking if there were times when an even better table saw would have been even better. So I could see like an old
Yeah.
school, heavy cast iron, big, huge table saw that you could rent from a place like that. I hope that happens.
Yeah, I say it just depends on what donations they get in. It's a big basement that's already full of tools, and so it's a cool event. And it's interesting because like we did the ribbon cutting a couple weeks ago, so I was hanging out with all the politicians there, like Rochester mayor's there, city council people, all that stuff, and which is great till we found out like 2 days later that the mayor had COVID. But
Let's get, is he okay now?
yeah,
All right.
no, he's fine. He was all right.
All right. I mean,
But
COVID can be serious for some folks. I get it, man. I do.
yeah, and yeah, listen, I know that'll get you like 30 Jennies, but and I love me some Jennies, and I have some of that in my fridge too. But this goes to help it's not just that buying the beers, it's going to help this organization and to help like a tool library in Rochester.
I think
And
it's a great idea. I do see some problems. Like as a contractor, having loaned out my scaffolding 3 years ago, and that guy disappeared. It's
oh yeah, well
kind
they
of a
have stuff like that. You're supposed to you gotta sign it out and that type of stuff. And
I hope they
if you don't
get like a
return it in a certain time,
yeah.
it's
I hope they, even though it's a rental place, I hope they do charge a deposit. I think that
it's
had I held
you
some of that guy's
so
money.
wait, if you get in there, you're supposed to keep a credit card on file. So if you don't return it within like whatever period of time, I don't remember what it is, they can charge you for the full price of the tool.
Sure, and that's not the goal. I get it, but you
Yeah.
gotta have that lever, or
So,
else
yeah,
it's
it's
not
just
gonna work.
something, right? So for like, because in case you get someone who's just trying to take advantage, and you'd like to think that most people ain't going to do that, but we know that's
Most
going to be
people
a
won't,
thing.
but the one
Yeah,
person that does can ruin it for everybody else. One bad apple, Kevin, spoils the whole bunch.
yeah.
It's a Osmond family song. I don't know if you've ever heard it.
There you go. All right, so we should get to talking to Disney. So we'll come back in at 34.
Okay.
I'm going to Florida tomorrow. Speaking of Florida, I'm gonna be in Miami tomorrow.
Nice.
Time the show airs, I'll be down there.
Go talk to him about his.
Talk to Ron. Ron, get together, man. All right, 5. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim, the Tax Avenger, O'Connor, and thank you all for listening today, wherever you're listening today, whether it's WISL, WACK out in New York, or our friends listening online. Appreciate y'all being here. And yeah, before the break, we kind of hinted at this. We're talking about some Florida stuff.
Yeah.
It's not fake news yet. I mean, maybe there'll be some fake news from Florida, but
Florida man.
But this is real stuff going on. It's so we're talking about the Disney stuff, right? The self-governance stuff. This kind of just came out on Thursday.
Yeah.
Tim, you want to lay it out, or you want me to go?
Let me kind of talk about a little bit, right? Disney kind of is a self-incorporated town, so they're allowed basically to assess their own property tax. They assess their own zoning. They provide their own services that a town would normally provide, like water, sewers, all of those things. Um, they've been fighting with Ron DeSantis, and so this is an educational thing because I can be very pro Ron DeSantis. Like I like him. He reminds me a little bit of Trump, but he's a little bit smoother. But occasionally he sets balls in motion that are incredibly authoritarian. Incredibly.
Yeah. All right.
Do
And
you think that's
so,
fair? I mean, I probably didn't do the
yeah.
story justice, but that's a basic concept we're dealing
No, I
with
mean
here.
that's kind of been like my criticism again. Why are we paying attention to him? Because he's making a bunch of virtue signaling moves because like dude's gonna run for president. Like that's like
He's
what it
running for
is.
president. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so, like, a few of them, like, even with the "Don't Say Gay" bill, and there's which isn't what it's called, the Parental Rights and Education bill, and then what was the other one? There's another one that, like, it just kind of, like, exceeded constitutional authority, I think exceeds the constitutional authority a little bit. He's been on about, like, how Twitter doesn't have the right to deny Elon Musk his takeover bid, like, whatever,
But
man, like, get out
Elon
of it.
yeah, but Elon has rights to fight his own battles, okay? And
Yeah,
so
well,
as
like, yeah,
a
he can do his
CEO,
thing, like, it's
I'm not sure he needs Ron DeSantis to help him out because, like, really, Elon has so much money that he can probably crush Twitter if
if
he
they want
wanted
to.
to play
I
that
know.
game.
Yeah, I still think he might be in it for the lulz a little bit, like, I don't
He's
know if
awesome
he's
like that too. I like and look, that's one of the things. I laughed with Trump, I laughed at Trump. It's the same thing. These guys that I sense are playing us for their own humor, I enjoy. All right. So Elon is one of those guys. Maybe DeSantis is too. I don't know. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he tries to authoritarianly come down on the side of freedom. And like I like the
yeah.
fact that he pushed back against the woke culture that Disney was
Oh, right,
pushing
that
down
was
his throat.
that was what it was, is the critical race theory one, which I didn't like that one either because it was too vague.
Right.
Um, like, 'cause they're like, "Well, you can't do any critical race theory, so any discussion of this," like, wait, like, what does that even mean? Like, you're gonna ban, like, actual legitimate historical discussions, and that's kinda what, like, this thing is about. Like, Disney at first didn't actually take a stand on the parental rights and education bill, and then they got some pressure, and then, like, all right, so they sort of took a soft stand on it, right?
Yeah, let me hit that too because the CEO came out and said, "Hey, this bill's not that bad, and you guys are all overreacting." And all of the employees in Disney, or not all, but a distinct percentage of the employees in Disney went after him. And so then he started the apology tour, which I
Yeah.
hate. So he started
Yeah.
the virtue signaling policy
That's,
tour.
and I'm like, like, they didn't really do anything about it first, and then, like, they kind of got public mobbed, and I was like, "Alright," like, I've seen this play, like, I'm not gonna, like, get mad about it. And then Ron DeSantis has tried to make them, make an example of them, basically, and, like, 2 things I don't like about this. Well, is one, like, I don't like when politicians are like, "Well, we're gonna go after this specific corporation because they disagreed with me politically." It's like Elizabeth Warren does that crap all the time, and I can't stand it.
What a great point, Kevin, because we're talking about how to separate people from the duopoly. This to juxtapose Ron DeSantis and Elizabeth Warren is actually perfect because they do the same thing, except Ron has more power to get his laws passed.
Yeah, exactly. He's a governor, like, and he has the political clout to push things through, and that's kind of what this feels like. So the Florida legislature did pass a law stripping stripping Disney of some of these, like, self governing rights. But the thing is like Disney is an enormous property. It's like 25,000 acres, right? Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's huge.
necessarily make sense for a surrounding county to go and provide those services. Like, it 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 would end up getting mixed up in these, like, county budgets. It makes sense for them to have some independence in this area. Like, I think it to have a corporation do that. I mean, it's such a libertarian thing to say, right?
Right.
No, this corporation should just be able to run wild in this area, which
Ron,
they aren't totally running wild. It's not totally self-governing. It's more, like you said, it's water, sewer, some emergency services. I think they do power generation on site too.
yeah,
Like, they do all sorts of wild stuff, and it
they
doesn't make sense to have, like, a town government do that, or have them go through zoning, for goodness sakes. Like, they're it's a theme park that's massive.
it's
Like, let
huge.
them do their own thing as long as it isn't imposing negative externalities on the surrounding areas, like by harming the environment or something. Then that's
Yeah.
a bit
So
different.
one of the results of this bill, which like I get petty and I like this revenge thing. Like Disney's going to end up having to pay like $200 million more dollars in property tax. Like at least at this point, Disney's probably going to fight this whole situation, I imagine, and they probably have eh, legal power that would equal the state of Florida's legal power. So this
And they
should be
might.
interesting as it plays out, guys. Like, and look, Ron DeSantis does cool stuff, but Ron DeSantis is doing some things that are very similar to what Elizabeth Warren does. And that's, I think, our point. And we want to separate you guys from this duopoly, this love of your side winning when we all lose when the state has too much power. Okay, that's, I think, the reality here.
No, when politicians start using their power in an abusive way, using their power to go after, I mean, like,
He
yeah, I
didn't
know.
do that, Kevin. He's just
Desantis.
setting things right for the people, man.
No. Well, no. Where he when they start going after, like they doing this populist thing, where like, oh, we're gonna go after Amazon, we're gonna go after Twitter, we're gonna go after uh Disney, we're gonna go after whatever, the scapegoat of the day is, right? And so
True.
they can make these laws that end up applying to specifically, it's supposed to apply specifically to these corporations, right?
Yeah.
That's like kind of how they write them. But what ends up happening all the time is it ends up just being, well, somehow the big corporations have to comply with this law to meet whatever populist political whim from Trump or DeSantis or Tom Cotton or Elizabeth Warren or AOC or whoever,
Nancy
and
Pelosi,
Nancy
any of those
Pelosi. Like,
jokers
I'm
or
just
clowns.
throwing out names at this point,
Joe
and
Biden, they're
then
all the same, guys.
and
They're
then they
not
make these
exactly
laws that have to apply to everyone, because you can't make a law applying to a specific corporation. That it would end up being unconstitutional, and then it's harder for smaller businesses to end up thriving in that area, right? Like that's what ends up happening
yeah.
in a lot of these cases, or ends up having like big negative consequences for the surrounding area. Again, if they remove Disney from like their self-governing status, like that means like, okay, what's the county down there, Orange County or something, near
Orange and
Orlando?
Beverly or something.
I forget. I used to be like not exactly from that area. I was from a little bit north,
You're a
southern
military
Georgia.
kid. You're from all over the world, bud.
No, we stayed in one spot. We,
Oh,
we
did
were
you really?
just we were just in Kings Bay, Georgia. That was it. A bunch of reasons behind that, but
Yeah.
but
All right.
but yeah. Anyway, like it's probably gonna create a bunch of problems, and again, I like the idea of a company, of an area being able to manage their own affairs as much as possible.
So yeah, so what some of what Disney was doing is great. But can I take this opportunity to make fun of CNN though?
Of course,
Okay.
always.
CNN started the whole like pedos run rampant at Disney, okay?
Oh,
And so now that to flip-flop 110% because they're fighting with Ron DeSantis, now Disney is the paragon of virtue in woke world CNN's nonsense. Like, okay, so
yeah.
like that's real. And like I cannot be more sick of that stuff. I just
I know.
can't.
Yeah, this is roll line. This is like, it's a cultural cudgel, like depending on whatever the political circumstances
Oh,
are, right? It's
that Stelter guy is such a has-been, man. He's got like honestly, you would be better at his job than he is. Like
there you
whatever
go.
his
You hear
job
that,
is. What is
CNN?
his job?
Hire,
Hire
hire
Kevin.
Kevin Wilson.
It'll be
All
like,
right. We're heading up on a break, though. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all listening today. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. And of course, it's Fake News Friday. Talk to you soon.
it is Fake News Friday.
And we're out. All right. And Shelly, oh my goodness, laid the build weld.
I'm sorry, Shelley. I'm glad you're here, and I'm sorry. I just Bill Weld. In theory, the theory of Bill Weld was okay. Like, let's get somebody with name recognition and money, but in reality, it helped spur a massive failure.
Yeah. And
And I'm sorry,
CNN.
Libertarian Party, but it was a massive
No.
problem.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I know.
I know. And Joe was a great candidate, and Spike is now really famous and doing a wonderful job spreading the message of liberty. Like he's
Spike's doing
hilarious.
great.
Yeah.
I appreciate what he does. He's out on TV, like talking, authoritatively about issues while also being like fun. So I know a lot of people were worried about him because he ran with Vermin Supreme of all people, but that
Look,
honestly he's one of the best things to come out of the 2020 election.
I gotta be honest, like Vermin is look, so Larry Sharp brought me to the Libertarian Party that gave me hope that there's actually a party that doesn't love the state when they perceive the state to be on their side. And so that Larry Sharp got me here, but Vermin Supreme entertained me. And again, I've mentioned before that I love people that make me laugh. And Vermin
Yeah.
Supreme is one of the best trolls of all time.
No,
So
he's well. I would say that, like I know, like because Larry like is like I don't know about this guy, but Vermin Supreme, like unlike a lot of Republicans and Democrats, knows he's a joke.
well,
So
that wears a boot on his head, man. And
where's the
people are
boot
like,
as it? Like he's yeah, he's just making fun of the system. Like honestly, it was wild seeing him in like 2016. Like he was at the he had like we had like a second tier like presidential debate and VP debate, and he was like one of the best spoken people there. Like he had like a great, crisp, excellent speech
yeah,
that was just full of well timed jokes,
he,
and I loved it.
he's brilliant. He really is a brilliant guy. And look, people, I can't tell you how many times when I say I'm a libertarian, people are like, "What about the boot on the
Oh
head guy?"
god.
And I'm like, he's
I was on an
illustrating.
NPR affiliate like a few months ago, and they're like, "Yeah, but what about Vermin Supreme?" Like, Vermin Supreme's hilarious. Like, I don't care.
He's illustrating the absurdity of believing in rulers that are going to solve your problems. And if we did elect him, we would have gotten free ponies and free dental care.
I
So
know, right?
there you have it.
Missed
Those are
opportunity. We could have had that instead of Joe Biden. I'm just saying.
two solid promises, bro. Like, I mean, come on, guys. Who doesn't want free ponies and who doesn't want great teeth? I, I mean, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get this, but CNN Plus, like, they're closing down after a month.
Oh, that's my fake news thing.
Oh no!
Today.
All right,
All
well,
right.
when we come back, we'll like
We're
you
gonna
just
fake
mentioned
it
that we
because that's
spoiled
my
the
fake
debate.
news thing.
You're gonna fake it?
Yeah. I got 2 now, but they're both,
Yeah. Oh,
some
we'll
mileage
do
has
this
been made
too
out
when
of
we
my
get.
2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh,
wear a cape though, Matt. I'll definitely do that next show.
next time, gonna get a. You got to put it up. Next time, the
I'm
Tim's
doing it.
gonna come dressed. It's
The Tax Avenger. I'll be Dwayne's
Tim.
mascot for his business.
Exactly. He'll appreciate that.
He will.
Yeah.
Yeah, there ain't no law when you're drinking the claw, Shelly. That's where I'm at tonight. It looks like
Oh
club
my
soda though.
goodness. All right, so let's go back. We'll go back at 49.
Okay.
49 to 101. I got to pack. I'm serious. I got to pack for
You are
Miami
going to
tomorrow.
Florida. Ron
Yeah,
DeSantis is
is it
going to want to have
my friend's
words with
bachelor
you.
parties?
It's going to be like, you famous guy, you were making fun of me yesterday, and here you are
Right, he's
hanging out.
probably listening. I know, right?
Yeah, I
So
mean, and
it's all
look,
right. So yeah, whoever's listening, Ron DeSantis people who are listening to this, like you tell them, I'll make a meeting for him in Miami. You
you'll get selfies. Get selfies.
that's right.
He won't make you wear a
I'll
mask.
have him on my show too. Whatever.
Yeah, he's welcome. Honestly, I would love to talk to him.
All right, we're going back though. It's Fake News Friday. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Tax Avenger O'Connor, co-hosting on this fine Fake News Friday.
It's a fantastic fake news Friday, to be perfectly honest. I have 2 good ones, Kevin. I'm gonna let you go first because mine are fire.
Yeah, all right. Well, you want me to go first? All right. So
I just put you right on the spot there because I'm
I
thinking
no.
about a
It's
frame.
fine. It's fine. So I just got to grab my phone first. But it's this story that I saw going around in I also actually related to Florida, because the other thing that Florida did recently is they had that bill that said you can't teach critical race theory, and they're talking about how they were getting rid of a bunch of math books because supposedly it violated the critical race theory teaching law. And so, did they uh, ban? Did Florida ban a homework assignment, a math homework assignment that was related to Maya Angelou talking about her experience with sexual assault and prostitution in a math assignment?
Oh, wow. There's
Real
well,
news or
first of
fake
all, literally,
news?
there's like no limits on the weirdness of the world and the emotional overreaction to it's got to be real, Kevin. I'm sorry that it is real, but it's real, right?
Yeah. So yes. Now there's a caveat to it. It was not Florida because I saw a bunch of people
Okay.
sharing it, being like, "Oh, this is happening in Florida, and this is why Florida created this law, and this is what they're talking about when they're banning stuff." It wasn't Florida. It was Missouri. That some teacher had picked up this assignment, and yeah, no, it was like a real thing. It was like this weird. I'm not sure I quite understand like why the assignment was like structured this way. It's like
It is
the
strange to me. That part I was kind of like wrestling with in
Yeah,
my
I don't
brain.
know if you saw like the image from it, but it would like have these like two equations, and then it would have like the right answers to the X and the Y next to like the written question about like Maya Angelou's history. And I guess that's a way to like mix mix in a discussion of a historical figure um with math. But I don't know why you would do that. Like I don't like it struck
Yeah.
me as a very strange like again, like I don't have any issue with talking about Maya Angelou or even talking about some of the stuff related to her, like her life, some of her traumatic experiences in the appropriate context for like age appropriate high school students. Like that's fine. It's weird that it's part of a math lesson.
It
I don't know.
really
Like
is.
I
It
don't know why that
really
is.
is. And maybe Missouri figured out something that we can't. My fake news, and I think you're going to like this. Podcasts are everywhere. Like we, Kevin, have a podcast, as you know. Like it gets put out on the WYSL pages. It gets put out on Spotify. So
Yeah.
we're out there, man, doing a podcast. But CNN started a streaming podcast service that rapidly went to number one, and it is now making more money than the Joe Rogan Experience.
More money than the Joe Rogan Experience. That is a bold claim. Talk
Yeah,
about CNN Plus.
yeah,
The
CNN
the
Plus, yeah,
wildly successful CNN Plus that
wildly,
our
amazingly
commenters
successful.
are already well aware of. No, that is fake news. They CNN Plus did not do super great. They after a month of being um around, they're closing the doors.
Was it? I thought they made it 6 weeks, Kevin, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was not a very long run. Their mistake, of course, was not hiring me.
Or
And
me,
that's the or
or
yeah,
us.
no, both of us. That's obviously that's what they should have done. We
Not
could
enough
we could
Brian
really turned
Stelter.
around CNN Plus, Tim.
Not enough Brian Stelter. That's what I'm thinking. They should
That's
have went
that's it.
did that. Uh,
Um,
yeah, so horrible news for the entire world.
yeah, so
No one wanted to pay for CNN's podcast.
yeah, and thanks to listener Dave on Facebook for jumping on that one
He was out
before.
ahead of me. He was out
It
ahead of me.
was, and actually, I want to get this fake news proposed from Matthew on Facebook too. He says fake news. Elon Musk believes that Netflix's 35% stock reduction is due to being woke. He said,
Go hey,
what
go
did
woke, go
Elon
broke.
Musk did Elon Musk blame Netflix going woke for a massive reduction in stock prices?
I I could see I'm gonna go with I don't know. So this is a really good one. A lot of times I have an idea. I'm gonna go with Elon Musk trolling Netflix for his own entertainment and yes, making that claim. I say yes.
Yeah, like as far as I can tell, and I looked this up when I saw it. It looks like Elon Musk did make that claim. Now, whether or not that's actually what happened, you know,
Elon Musk
with
does.
no, not with Elon, with He said the woke mind virus is making Netflix unwatchable. Like
I
whether or
did
not like that is what caused Netflix to drop in price. And I don't know. I really haven't looked into it. I have
I've
no
been
idea why
watching a
that
lot of
happened.
Fox News, Kevin. I told you that. And
Did
Elon
they?
Musk does in fact believe that wokeness is a mind virus. I want to be
But no, no,
absolutely
no. So
clear
like that
about
part's
that.
true. Like Elon Musk, he did say that.
I think
Like
he might be right.
I have no idea why Netflix
I
stock
think he
price
might be
dropped
right.
though.
I
Do you
do.
think he might be right about
I
that?
think he
It's
might be right.
the wokeness
Yeah,
factor.
I do think he might be right. I just so is it my turn?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
All right. As a solution, and it's not a free solution, guys, but as a solution, and maybe you guys have already heard this, so play along with me, all right? But as a solution to the violence in the subways, there are going to be Eric Adams, in his infinite wisdom, is not he's not going to grant rights for people to carry their own weapons of self defense. He is going to put TSA type security in the subway stations in the five boroughs.
Yeah.
Is that true or false? Did I exaggerate? Am I just playing with you?
I
What's going on there?
mean, it's not quite full TSA, but he did pitch metal detectors.
He did. He did. Can you imagine a business, quote unquote business, that is losing $6 billion a year that is now going to slow down access to its
I know. Again,
I just don't know, man.
I've lived in cities with like mass transit systems
I hate
before.
mass transit.
I love mass transit. I wish
I
it
hate
wasn't like publicly run most of the time because
Yeah.
like that's when you end up running into a lot of trouble. But like I really enjoy mass
You know who
transit.
else
It's
loved mass
nice.
transit? Hitler, Kevin. That's what I
Oh,
just want
geez,
to
that's
say.
where we're gonna go.
Good. Oh,
Uh,
Mussolini, excuse me. But same concept.
Yeah,
Fascists
no.
love
So
mass transit.
when I was in the belly of the beast, like when I interned in DC, I would like drive a couple minutes to the red line, and I would like just chill. I'd like read a newspaper as before like I had a smartphone, so just like read a newspaper, read a book, whatever. I didn't mind it really. It wasn't bad. I like being able to like when I was in Berlin, I like being able to go out to the bars and then take transit home. It was a nice
Yeah.
thing. Now, if you've ever been in that situation before, though, like rush hour traffic, everyone's just trying to like get in. And especially in New York, if you've ever been in rush hour traffic in New York and the subway system, people are like just packing in those trains. I mean, maybe not anymore, but like for what
I
they're
don't know.
packing in the trains in DC, we're packing in the trains.
I mean,
And imagine having to do that while also now walking through a metal detector and having to have someone scrutinize you and be like, why that beep? We have to pull this up. We have to stop the whole line until that. Are you kidding me?
I honestly can't
The system
imagine.
would be totally unworkable. You would not be able to use it anymore.
I it doesn't make any sense to me in the hustle and bustle, fast-paced action that I perceive New York City to be, and I know it's real on some level, and the aggressive, like, people wanting to get from place to place, bumping in it just
Yeah.
I
No, like,
when
I mean, like
people
they are kind of like that. I mean, like Larry would be able to speak to this better, but like if you're the rube standing in like dead in front of the door trying to get in, they're gonna be like, get the heck out of it. You need to stand to the side, get out of the way. Oh,
they're gonna just rush
dude,
them,
just
bum rush them.
yeah, it's like, all right, you don't like get out and like move to where you need to go. Okay, you're not getting off at this stop then. Too bad.
I I did talk about flying cars today.
Yeah, no, Steve Becker commenting online says flying cars question mark. Yeah, no, that's the next direction that it could go.
It will
Um
be individual transportation, guys, as is it can't amount to a free society. That's a reality. And sure, mass transit, whatever. Go ride your buses. I don't care.
ride my bus, ride my electric bike.
You ride
It's
it,
all
do it.
good.
It's all good, man.
No, I mean, there is cool like individual like there's the like drone services that are starting to emerge right now. Now, if the folks at the FAA and whatnot let those services exist, you might be able to go hire a drone, like an Uber drone, and go from like place to place in New York or wherever, right?
Would
Like,
be honestly some that would be kind of awesome because I do want my flying car to be like just know take from my brain the information of where I want to go and then I
yeah,
just
just
sleep on my way there. Like that, I do want that.
Yeah,
So
right. Like then, you don't have to worry about the expertise of flying or like you
yeah,
dozing off or like not flying correctly or whatever. You
yeah.
just like, okay, I know I can go to these like 30 destinations, go to this one, give me to whatever.
I go like
Boop.
this, beep, beep, boop, and then I play a couple
Yeah,
games
yeah,
of
you
chess.
probably won't even need the
Yeah,
press button. You just say, all right, go to the
yeah,
airport. All right, cool.
yeah,
Nice.
and I play a game of chess, or I lose a couple games of chess, and
Yeah,
I'm there.
whatever.
It'd be perfect.
Exactly. No, that's the future. Again, if the government allows it to happen, we'll see. They're gonna be like, "Oh, this is only for the rich for
No,
now."
the
Until
government is
until it
gonna
becomes cheaper for folks, it eventually will.
they're gonna
But it
continue
is.
to prop up big auto, big road, big oil that goes into your roads. Like that's what the government's gonna do because that's how they make their money.
Yeah.
Bada bing.
And or dump a bunch of money into like public transit, which, like cool. But just it'd be great if it worked better. All right.
Smart people figure that out.
I know. All right,
That's
so we're
what we
we're, we're
really
running out of time though. We're dumping money into that and everything else. We'll have to wait for another day. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate all of y'all listening today. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, folks. Talk to you next week. Out. All right, cool.
a boot on every neck. The Jetsons was 2025. All right.
What?
All right. I thought it was actually a little bit like 1980-ish. Guys, thanks for being here, man. I love it. The comments, it's good stuff. Kevin and I are gonna pop off. It's been a long week.
It sure has. But you know, next week, make sure you tune in. We're gonna have to do something fun next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, more fake news, and who knows what kind of news we'll have to talk about before next week.
Oh yeah.
My God, the way the world is turning.
Yeah,
It's
we're
just
yeah.
amazing.
Definitely gonna have some news to talk about. We're gonna have show news to talk about, folks.
There was
Yeah.
so much stuff that we didn't even get to cover for this week. It's just crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna call it a night, folks. Appreciate y'all being here. Dave, Shelly, Steve. Who else is it? Matthew. It's a bunch of folks listening.
Facebook
Random
user,
Facebook user.
my buddy
Thank
Kenneth
you, Facebook
Williams.
user.
Ken Williams had a comment in there somewhere. It was a little
Yeah.
too complicated for me to read on the show. Here, let's insurance company justice. Find a harm party, add people, add money, file suit, add class action component, companies and agencies. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Ken recently went through a good time with Otsego County and it's a land grab. We still got to talk about that.
Oh yeah. Well,
My
fine
buddy
time to talk
Robert
about it.
Forrest and Brian LaRusso and maybe Ken and Tim Shore. We're going to have a round table discussion. I hope you join it, Kevin and Rich Pertel, because we'll talk about how your property is never really your property anymore. We live in this neo-feudalistic government's grabbing everybody's property kind of nonsense.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, though,
Yeah, we got to go.
we gotta go. All right.
Get up on
Have a
it.
good night, folks.
Good night, everybody.